Your daughter has a fever and is complaining about a headache. You take her to the emergency room and they do some tests, they take some blood, send her home, take some ibuprofen, she'll be fine. And then you get a call at 2 o'clock in the morning that changes everything. This is Hope Stories. Welcome to Hope Stories. I'm your host, Mitch Kalouris. Today, my guest is Morris Geis. Morris is the father of Kaia Geis. Welcome to Hope Stories.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So your daughter, Kaia, was 2 years old when something happened. Tell us a little bit about the background.
So she was 2, I think consistent with any parent, right? She was coming, hey, daddy, my stomach hurts. Hey, mommy, my stomach hurts. You feel her, she's got a little temperature. What's the first thing we're gonna do? Hey, here, take some Tylenol, some Motrin, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it started it took about a month, right, for us to really know what was going on. So the first couple of times she kept saying that, we're like, oh, okay, give her some Motrin, some Tylenol. It would cut the fever. Stomach still hurts. No, I'm okay now. But maybe a week and a half later, it would come back. So when it came back the first time, it's like, let's take her to the doctor. We took her to the hospital. I kind of told the doctor a little bit about the symptoms, stuff like that. I think they took like a CAT scan or x-ray of her stomach. And they're like, oh, it's consistent with her being constipated. And the fever is just give her Tylenol Motrin. Okay. Take her home. Same,
Sounds like everything's okay, yeah, no problem.
Same,
sure.
Same
yep.
thing. Maybe some apple juice, some prune juice, different things like that.
Yep.
Fever comes back. Now I'm like, all right, let's figure this out. We took her to UMC, I think emergency. Took her over there. They kind of said the same, oh, she's probably constipated. Just keep doing what you're doing. Took her to Sunrise for a second time. And then during that time, like I told you before, because she didn't really have symptoms at that time, we ended up waiting for about 3 hours in the waiting room. I was like, let's cut this out. I'll take her to the pediatrician tomorrow. Took her to the pediatrician. We sat there. We had a conversation. She was like, I want to get some blood work done on her. She sent us over to Quest. And then after that, pretty much like I got a call at like 2:30 in the morning from her pediatrician. So that was like when we first found out something was going on.
So how much time was there between the first time you took her in when she had these symptoms to the second time? What was that?
Maybe about a week.
Okay.
Overall, between those like 4 visits, I think it was, they were all like a week apart.
Okay.
So a month total to really figure out what was going on. But about a week apart for every single time.
So when you got the call at 2:30 in the morning, you said,
sure.
What'd they say?
So obviously it's a call at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm asleep. I didn't recognize the number because she called from her personal cell phone. And so I didn't answer. I'm like, who the heck is this calling me in the middle of the night? And so she left a voicemail. She was like, I'm trying to reach either the father or the mother of Kaia. You really need to, I'm looking at her blood work and you give me a call back if you can. But I heard the worry in her voice. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the main thing that I was like, hold on, something's not right. Mm-hmm. So immediately, obviously, I wake mom up. Hey, the pediatrician just called me. Like, we got to figure this out. And I called her back and she was like, yeah, I want you to take her to Summerlin Hospital, like right now. And so we got up as a family and we went over to the hospital.
What happened from there?
From there, so obviously immediately, my mom's a nurse, so she was like, I'm going to send you over to lab work so you can look at it. I didn't really know what I was looking at.
Sure.
So I kept calling my mom, but like I said, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, right? She's not answering. She finally answers and I'm like, hey, I'm going to send you this blood work. Like, look at it for me and tell me what you see. And she was like, okay. So I sent it to her. We headed over to the hospital. They kind of checked us in. Hey, we were sent here, you know, blah, blah, blah. They're getting the vitals and, you know, different things like that. We come into the room because they put us in the pediatric ER. We were in the room, and then there was a resident, and then there was a regular doctor. And we're kind of just sitting in there. And he's like, oh, yeah, we got to do some tests and stuff like that. And he walks out. Obviously, I said I sent the blood work over to my mom. So then she calls me back, and she's like, you know, I looked at the blood work. It doesn't really, like, it doesn't seem too crazy. So, you know, just relax. Because, like I said, the worry that I heard in the doctor's voice, you know, her pediatrician, it just didn't seem like it was good, right? And so I was like, okay, that kind of somewhat put me at ease. But then the resident comes in and he's like, oh, well, it's one or two things. It's either she has very low, you know, iron, and that's why she's having these symptoms, or she's got leukemia. And he just kind of said it like that. So obviously, immediately, you know, Mom, Sarah starts crying, and she's, you know, now I got to play like, I got to be the stoic one, right? I got to kind of like take that on the chin and
got to be the strong one.
Yeah, I got to be the strong one. And so I'm like, hey, don't worry about it. I talked to my mom, so I called my mom back. You know, she's like, they don't really know. They need to run the test first. You know, he's just kind of just giving you a possible outcome.
Did she have an elevated white blood cell count?
She did.
Okay.
So that was the part that I was going to get to. So my mom looked at the blood work. It was in the middle of the night, right? So she probably just scanned it. Maybe an hour or so later, when it was time for her to actually get up and start getting ready for work, she was like, oh my God, this is, you know, this is not good. Her body's really fighting.
Yeah.
And so that's when I kind of knew, like, to prepare myself for whatever we were about to, you know, deal with. Because at this time, we still didn't know.
So that was at Summerlin Hospital?
That was at
here in
Summerlin
Las
Hospital,
Vegas.
yeah.
So where did it go from there? So she was admitted there for some time, or how?
So immediately, they're like, we're going to run some tests, and we'll let you know. So she was admitted to the hospital. They sent us upstairs, if I'm not mistaken. And then, yeah, they were like, I think by 1 o'clock, 1 p.m., 2 p.m. that day, they were like, yeah, she's definitely got leukemia. And then it was like drinking from a water, you know, from a fire hose at that point. It's like, yeah, all the information that was sent at you, like, so basically like, hey, she's got leukemia. We have to go into treatment right away.
And what was the date on this? When was this happening? She was about 2 years old, right?
She was 2 years old. This was June. So this was June 23rd, 2023.
2023, okay. And so how long was she in Summerlin Hospital?
We were there for like 9 days.
9
9
days.
straight days, yeah.
What, you know, you get news like that, right? And it sounded like it was a little bit drawn out. You know, you get the call in the middle of the night, don't know what this is about, but then you call and we're still not sure, you know, and finally they kind of zero in on ALL, but
still not, they didn't know yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we didn't know she had ALL until about, I want to say a month in or something like that, because they had to do some more tests or something like that. And obviously it's a little, you know, it's a little fuzzy at this point. So many things have happened, but we didn't know right away, because when we met the doctors, or we met a couple of the nurses from, I want to say from Cure for the Kids, or they were from upstairs, the oncology unit, they were kind of just throwing all this stuff at us. And then they were like, well, we really don't know what it is, and we got to figure it out. If it's ALL, that's the best case scenario, because it's a better survival rate. If it's AML, that's going to be a little bit tougher, and, you know, the numbers and percentages and different things like that. And so at that point, it's just kind of like, hey, you know, is our kid going to die? Because, you know.
Lots of things go through your mind.
Yeah, so many things.
Yeah, yeah. How do you and your wife take that?
I mean, probably not good. Yeah, not good. There was a lot of guilt that I carried because I had some things going on, like in my personal life with my career, that, you know, didn't necessarily pan out. And so I was probably depressed, right? So I didn't catch some of the symptoms that she had, like I'm sleeping all day, and she's like, Daddy, I don't feel good. And so I'm holding her, and we're sleeping all day together. You know, it's not clicking in my brain that,
Yeah.
hey, I know why I'm sleeping for 6-7 hours. Why is she sleeping all day?
Right.
So, I mean, that was a lot of the guilt that I kind of just had to deal with.
Sure.
Because I got to be a strong one, right? But mom definitely, yeah, she didn't take it well. I mean, nobody really took it well.
Sure.
But just, you know, for me, I don't think I really got a chance to grieve either.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it was like I'm looking at everybody else and everybody else is crying. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to think about, to know, and to learn. You know, when you face something like this, it's all new, right?
Right.
So everybody's just trying to figure it out. So you're looking at the medical providers who are taking care of her to get the information that you need, and you know, then you can get the right perspective, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, at the time, really, if I wasn't, I guess I could deal with a lot of information at once. But the average person, because they come in and they kind of give you like a textbook of information of like maybes, maybe not. You know, they kind of came in, and my daughter's 2 at the time, but she can speak very well. She can, you know, use the bathroom. She can walk normal. And they're kind of telling us like, hey, she may have some delays with her intelligence from this process. She may not walk the same, like different things. And you're just like, whoa, like this kid that I knew,
From the treatment that she's about
from the
to
treatment
get.
that she's about to go through. Because basically they're like, hey, we got to start this tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here are all the side effects that could possibly come.
Yep.
And so it's just at that point, you know, you have to put faith in, you know, if you believe in God or a higher power, you have to put that faith in them to, you know, because you can't just be like, hey, yeah, I trust you. You know, I just met you 20 minutes ago, but I trust you with my daughter.
Yeah, I'm sure that, you know, any person would sit there and go, okay, let's take the information in, but then you've got a lot of questions, and you know, this is somebody that you love dearly, and so you want to make sure that they're getting the absolute best care, that you're getting the right answers, the right diagnosis, the right treatments, all of that stuff. And so, you know, that can be, you know, it could be very, very scary, and the uncertainty of it all, I guess, is really what people face. What would you say to that?
Yeah, the uncertainty is tough. It's tough because, you know, like I said, for me, I don't know. I kind of believe that sometimes, like I said, I do believe in God and I believe in a higher power. And sometimes, like, I believe that, you know, some things could be prophetic. And so before that, before the diagnosis, before everything, I was in an academy, fire academy, and I kept seeing on the firefighters' helmets, fight like, you know, and hopefully I'm not disrespecting his parents by talking about this, but fight like a kid's name. And I didn't know anything about the fight like mantra, none of that. So I'm like, what does that mean? What does that mean? But I saw that for like 5 months, you know, fight like Jackson, fight like Jackson. I kept seeing that. And then the call in the middle of the night. And so deep down, I kind of knew. I'm like, man, this sounds like cancer. Now, I didn't want to say that to mom, but I just felt it in, you know, in my body. And so because of that, I started questioning, like, okay, what does this mean? Does this mean that, you know, we're going to lose our daughter? Does this mean that, you know, like, basically that's the uncertainty, like, especially when they're saying, hey, a survival rate is, you know, 50% if it goes this way. It's 70% if it goes that way. It's 90% if, you know, so now we're like dealing with probabilities and what, you know, what do we know at this point? Because we only know one thing. She's got leukemia. We don't know what kind of leukemia, and we don't know how her body is going to respond to this treatment either. So,
how long did it take for them to zero in on the type of leukemia that she had?
I want to say it was about a month. I want to say, or maybe, you know, a couple weeks or something like that. But immediately, she had to get blood transfusions and they had to get her back to a certain baseline to even treat her. And so I just remember that first couple of days it being like, hey, we got to do blood transfusions, we got to do this, we got to do that, before we could even really zero in on like what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. So is that about 2 months now from beginning symptoms, like going to the emergency room for the first time to getting the ultimate diagnosis here?
Yeah, I would say from the first symptom for sure, like the stomach aches, the fevers, the intermittent fevers, and the pain, and she couldn't articulate, right?
Yeah.
Hey, it hurts when I walk, but
well, that's the other thing. You know, you're dealing with a child who's 2 years old,
right.
Doesn't have full vocabulary, doesn't kind of know what's going on. All they know is they don't feel well, right? So you've got to interpret what they're saying, and you know, act accordingly. I could see where, you know, kids, you know, bump their head all the time, or they, you know, they're kids.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, so you just, you know, a lot of times people don't, you know, they kind of slough it off, right?
Yeah.
What? So how did you? When in the process did you get to? You went to Cure for the Kids Foundation for care, right? When did that occur?
So that started. We stayed in Summerlin Hospital for that 8 or 9 days, and then immediately we met, or at the hospital, Dr. Wasim came. He was like, "Hey, I'll be your doctor. You know, you'll start coming to the clinic for the treatments, different things like that." And he kind of gave us a rundown of like what the next month would look like. And so I want to say immediately, maybe a few days after we were discharged from the hospital, we started going to Cure for the Kids.
And how did that treatment go?
I mean, about as well as you could expect it to go.
How long was the treatment? How long did it last?
So her full treatment, or it was 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yeah, 2.5 years.
So that first spell at Cure for the Kids, in that first part of treatment, how long did that last?
I want to say that one was 30 days. Yeah, it was 30 days, because they break it down into like the phases. And so I know for 30 days she had to be on steroids. And so that was like that 30-day block, which was hard because as you put all the steroids into her, you know, she's more aggressive, she's gaining more weight. And so at some point she started looking like a little sumo wrestler around there. And we're like, man, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
Because she was just, you know, it was just a rough time. So that 30 days was pretty tough.
How was she handling it through this, or the early parts of this?
I don't think she was handling it well, but none of us were. I mean, as far as like treatment goes, like her body was fighting and she was handling that part as about as well as you could. But there was a lot of like crying and, you know, just uncertainty. Like she didn't sleep a lot. She only wanted to sleep with us. So she would be wide awake a lot of times. And, you know, I'm holding her, or mom's holding, and she's just staring at you, and it's 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You're like, oh man, this kid's not sleeping. Like, it's just it's a tough time. That first 30 days for sure is like pretty hard.
So how did it go from that first, say, 30-day treatment or so, Cure for the Kids and beyond? So what was the next phase of that?
The next phase, I don't want to butcher what it was, but the next phase was like probably I want to say a 60-day phase or a 30-something day phase. Like, if I'm not mistaken, they were like 30, 45, 60, kind of like that. So that next phase was like, I want to say she got her first or her second lumbar puncture, because she got her first LP in the hospital. So she got her second during that time. So it was just, I think the toughest part was the accessing the port. She didn't like to be accessed at all.
Yeah.
So a lot of that was
a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, a lot of anxiety, a lot of like, you know, you're holding her down because she's like screaming, "Stop! I don't want you to stick me with the needle." Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we see that quite a bit. Yeah. But yeah, there's some excellent ways to distract a child now with you know, different types of ways to deal with that. But what, so she's put on some weight now. She's going through this therapy. Did she have hair loss? Did some of these other things happen?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Tell us what happened after that.
So after that, then we're pushing to like they sent I want to say they sent bone marrow from her hip.
Mm-hmm.
They had to test that. That's when it was like official, like, because Dr. Wasim was like, I think it's ALL, but we need to be 100% certain. And so after this LP, he took some of her bone marrow, sent it off to, you know, to be checked. And this is like where we're getting into, okay, is it 100% ALL? If it is, we're going to continue with this treatment. Or is it AML, which we got to do a little bit more aggressive. And once that came back, then we got to the most aggressive phase, maybe like 3 or 4 months into the process. That's when we started to notice, like, you notice little hair loss in the beginning.
Yeah.
But nothing like that third phase. That third phase is when you get the doxorubicin. I want to say they call it Red Devil or something like that. It can stop the heart. And that was probably the scariest one. Once she had that and had to go to a cardiologist to make sure her heart was good to even get that chemo, that's when the hair started to fall, for sure.
So now she's about 3 years old now?
About to be 3, yeah.
Yeah.
About to be 3. Because that was like holiday time. Actually, she was 3 because it was like Thanksgiving time, 2023.
Mm-hmm. How did the treatment end up? How did we get through this process? I mean, obviously, she's doing great now,
yes,
right?
Yes.
But how long was she in this treatment from beginning to end, would you say?
This pretty tough phase, I want to say that was like 2 months or something like that. That's when she got aggressive. Like it was like a lumbar puncture every week. I want to say she had to come to the office like 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So that was like 2 or 3 months. This super aggressive, like it was taxing. It was taxing on her. It was taxing on us.
Physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
Nobody's sleeping. Everybody's got a lot of stress.
Financially.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you got to miss work and
yeah.
They don't care. It's like, oh, your kid's sick. We feel bad for you. But hey,
yeah.
You know,
yeah.
This is still a business or whatever. So
Sure. And during this time, she's not in school yet, but she's not able to see any of her friends, I'm guessing.
No. So that was like the harder, that first year and I mean, we were paranoid, like, you know, kind of saying, hey, you know, if you're sick, just like don't come over. And going over other people's houses, we would have to separate. Like if Corey was sick, we got to figure something out. Like someone's got to be, you know, God forbid one of us got sick.
Yep.
Now we're isolated in the room and you can't come out and you're just really worried about getting her sick because we didn't want to go back to the hospital. Like that was tough being in Summerlin Hospital for that 9 straight days. And maybe like that first year, she couldn't go to daycare anymore because that's where she was going before. She was going to daycare, and so now she's isolated. Yep. Now all she sees is mommy, she sees daddy, and she sees her sister sometimes because now sister's going to school. She's pre-K at that time.
Yeah, people don't realize the kids going through this, you know, they have compromised immune systems, and so that means that they can't be around other people. You've got to take extra care. You know, if they're school age, they don't go to school.
Yes.
You know, things like that, and it just changes your whole world.
It does. Yeah, it changes everything because before this diagnosis, like she was in gymnastics and, you know, she was an active kid. She was able to play. And once this happened, it's like, yeah, you know, all of that is cut out. But sister, we can't, you know, penalize sister. So sister's still doing, you know, she's still doing the gymnastics. She's still playing the soccer.
Right.
She's going to school. And so she's like really mad now, or, you know, I shouldn't
well, why
say
does her sister
do that? Why does she get to do this and I can't?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And so, yeah, it just, it flips everybody's life upside down.
How did she do along the way? You know, this is a couple of year journey?
Yes.
So how did she do from sort of the early parts of this to the later stages when she was kind of turning the corner? Let's talk a little bit about that first. When did you realize that things were kind of looking up?
Maybe about a year in, honestly, a year in. That's when you kind of start to see like the other kids coming into the facility, you know, and they're like, oh, they're in the Magnus phase, and now their hair is starting to grow back and stuff like that. Because once we cut her hair, because we made the decision to just chop it off about November, because it was just it was just there, it was loose. And so once we did that, really her hair didn't start growing until maybe like March of 24. But that was okay, because I shaved my head every day with her, so she wouldn't be the only one that was bald. But maybe like March of 24, and as we got closer to that date of like, you know, talking to Dr. Wasim and the other doctors, and they're like, oh yes, you know, she's on her way to the Magnus phase, she's doing fine. And you know, I started to see like she wasn't hit as hard as she used to be. Like she'd get that chemo Wednesday, and all day Thursday she's just out. She sleep all day, and you know, just really tired and groggy. And I started to see, like, especially in the time where sister was playing soccer and stuff like that, and she wants to play. And you know, I kind of talked to the coach, and I was like, you know, she really wants to play. She just wants to be out and about. And they were kind of saying like, hey, she can go out and play with friends, but be careful, right?
Sure.
And she would be out there running around with these kids and kicking the ball and stuff like that. And they're like, why doesn't she play? And I'm like, because she's got cancer. And the look that they would have, like, they couldn't believe it. They're like, this kid looks so healthy. And I think that's when I kind of noticed, like, hey, she's a strong person. She's a strong kid. She's a fighter.
Yeah.
So yeah, about a year in, I would say.
So, you know, obviously she's going through a lot, much of which she doesn't understand,
Right.
because she's so young. Can you talk a little bit about what happens at home when you're faced with a diagnosis like this out of left field, and how your life changes, right? You talked a little bit about the work stuff, but talk a little bit about how that impacts day-to-day life, work life, all of that stuff.
So it really has a huge impact. From diagnosis to like actually dealing with it, it's just, for one, it's mentally and physically taxing, you know, for everyone, because now we're caregivers, whether we like it or not. And so it went from, okay, someone cannot work, because how are we going to make this work if both parents work?
Right.
It won't work.
Yeah.
And so, you know, luckily at the time I just had my military stuff going on, and I was like, okay, I won't work. And I kind of jumped into that full-time role of taking care of Kaia. But it changes everything. It changes, you know, sister's life, because now we're kind of, not purposely, but in reality, you're saying, hey, go over there and do what you do. And we're all focused right here.
Yeah.
Is she okay? She's got doctor's appointments. She's got, you know, medicine that we have to give her every single day, or, you know, this and that, and keeping up with the responsibilities of being parents, really.
Yeah, and I got to think that, you know, like back to the medications you have to give on a regular basis. I mean, just the stress alone of making sure that happens at a certain day, you know, a certain time of day, is enough to just, you know, I got to think you're constantly on edge.
Yeah. So, you know, that's something that I learned, right? Your partner, you cannot expect, you know, them to react how you would, because of my background, right? Because of my military background, because of, you know, being in law enforcement and being in fire. I can kind of deal with chaos, right? And still be able to think and function.
Yep.
But I'm looking at, you know, at my partner, and I'm like, hey, we can't, you know, I know you're struggling mentally, but we got to keep pushing. right?
Yeah.
And it kind of creates a toxic environment because I'm not giving her that grace that I should
Sure.
be giving her.
Sure.
You know, and I'm just looking at it like, hey, she's got to have this stuff. But looking back on it, I wasn't taking care of myself. You know, I wasn't working out. I wasn't giving myself the mental breaks that I needed. I was just like living to take care of her.
Yeah.
And it's okay because hey, we made it to the end. But looking back on it, it really is easy to lose yourself in all of this.
Yeah, I mean, I got to think you're just hyper focused on
Absolutely.
your child that is just, you know, so ill. You're watching them constantly. How did it, you have other children, right?
Yes. So I have two, her older sister and her. Corey
And
Kaia.
so, you know, because you're hyper focused on the one child, because they're so ill, you know, I got to think that the other child, you know, is sitting there like, well, I'm still here too.
Yeah.
You know, what about me? And
Right.
that's, you know, it makes sense, right? How much older is your sister?
They're 19 months apart, so
Okay.
you know,
So they're in
pretty
the
close.
neighborhood.
Pretty
Yeah.
close.
Yeah. But still, you know, that's still young where they want love and attention and, you know, all that stuff.
Oh,
And,
for sure.
you know, I can see where, you know, they feel like, for lack of a better way to put it, neglected.
Yeah.
Right. How did her sister, you know, react to that? How did she handle it?
You know, at first I thought she was handling it pretty well because we kept her active, and that was something that I was like extremely, you know, I wouldn't bend on. I'm like, hey, we have to keep her doing things and that structure and stuff like that, and you know, almost to the point to where I kind of made her super independent. Right, a 5-year-old, I'm like, hey, you do your homework yet? You know, I'm kind of checking, I'm watching.
Right.
But in reality, I'm over here like, hey, we got to make sure that we do X, Y, Z for
Yeah.
Kaia. And it wasn't until like later on in the process, like, you know, we're a year and a half deep, and I'm starting to realize like she's just kind of just dancing in front of us, you know, looking, hey, pay attention to me, I'm here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, we're getting to that point of she's like, you know, feeling like, hey, I'm left out. You know, mommy and daddy are always focused on, you know, on Kaia, or like I would always kind of be a little tougher on her as far as like her asking questions, right? She's a kid, she's inquisitive. Why doesn't she have hair?
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard as a parent because am I right or am I wrong, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're sitting there and you're like, man, is it wrong to tell her not to say that, or is it right? Because I'm watching this kid who is very, you know, self-conscious about the fact that she doesn't have hair, which is, you know, part of the reason why I made sure to always shave my head. But she started to notice. She's like, well, Daddy, even your hair starts to grow back. Mine just stays the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so I think she handled it pretty well. Like overall, I think as parents and as a sibling and as like I think we handled this as best as you can handle it, because this really tears down everything.
It's certainly a test.
Yes.
Yeah.
Test of resilience, test of
A lot of things.
patience, yeah, your mental health, all of that.
Yeah.
And so it's hard. It's hard.
So, Kaia turns the corner. How did it go from, you know, you were talking a little bit about, you know, you're going into the clinic, you see other kids around, you know, we're going to, you know, Dr. Wasim, things are looking up. When was the moment you thought, okay, there's light at the end of the tunnel?
When we got a date. When he's like, if everything stays on, you know, online, which was, I want to say August, probably like a visit in August.
2025.
Well, 2024.
2024,
is when he
okay.
gave us a year out projected date.
Okay.
He's like, by September she'll be done of 25. He's like, it doesn't even seem like it's been over a year, huh? I think at that time we're a year and a half deep, and then he gives us a year out projection, and I'm like, okay, there's a small light, you know.
Yeah.
And as time goes by, and now she's in the maintenance phase, and now she's only coming once a month, and you know, and so every visit is like, okay, we're getting closer to, you know, to the light at the end of that tunnel. And I think that was when it like really clicked for myself, because I was like deep in it. I was the one doing most of the, you know, most of the appointments and stuff like that. But even for mom, you know, giving Sarah that date, like, hey, this
Sure.
is the date.
Yeah.
It gave us something to look forward to, honestly.
So you're marching towards September of the following year.
Yes.
And it slowly turns the corner. You're into a new year now in 2025, and you know, through the summer, and now you're it's right around the corner, right? So tell us how that happened, and when you finally got the news that she was okay.
So once I finally got that news, or like I kind of saw it on the horizon, right? You started looking at it, you're like, it was like, it was good, but it didn't really feel real.
Yeah.
And it felt so weird because for 2.5 years, she has to have this medication. She has to have this. She has to, you know. So when that date came, it was like, this is strange. I think it's still strange. She stopped taking chemo meds, I want to say August 28th was the last day. Officially, the last day we gave it to her. Boom. And it still feels strange. Sometimes I'm like, I feel like we're forgetting something.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so.
Well, it's a lifestyle. At some point, you know, you're doing it for so long. You know, I got to think that it's just embedded in you. You know,
Absolutely,
it's like, did we
yeah.
give her the meds today, and what time, and you got the
Right.
timers, and you know, all that stuff. So then she rang the bell.
Yes.
She rang the bell. When did she ring the bell at Cure for the Kids Foundation?
In October. I can't remember the exact date. I want to say October 3rd-ish. Yeah, October
Yeah.
3rd.
How did she do for that?
You know, she wasn't happy about being here. She thought we were tricking her. And so she was like happy, but at the same time, you know, that anxiety was kicking in. She's like, oh, every time I come here, they poke me. I don't want to be here.
That's understandable.
But overall, it was like it was a great day for her, you know, for her sister. For me, I felt emotionally drained, honestly. Like, I don't know if I could. I was happy, but at the same time, it's just like, man.
I was there with you guys.
Yeah,
I
I
saw
remember,
I saw
yeah.
the whole thing, and you could tell in
Yeah,
your face,
it
you
was
know, just
draining.
a mixed emotions, you know, happy, joy, sad, you know, you're crying. It's
Yeah.
just you got it all going, you know. But it was a really great day. It really was.
Yeah, absolutely.
She and her sister both had a great time,
Yeah.
from what I could tell.
Oh yeah, they definitely had a great time. They love, you know, opening up those toys and it just, yeah, getting to ring the bell and all that. It was definitely something to do. And then we went to Red Rock after that and celebrated. You know, a small group of the family. We kind of went to Red Rock, went bowling, so they really got a chance to
That's great.
let loose and oh yeah, we're celebrating.
That's great. So, what advice would you give parents who are facing something like this out of nowhere, literally out of left field? What would you say to them to give them advice on how to handle something like this?
What I would say is take care of yourself, and that comes in 3 different elements for me. You know, physically, spiritually, emotionally. You have to take care of yourself. And it's something that I preach all the time, right? To my friends, to Sarah, to, you know, other people. Like, hey, you can't take care of anyone if you don't take care of yourself first, right? And I realized, like, in this journey, it got rough. It got rough. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't, like, physically. Emotionally, I wasn't taking care of myself. I was just kind of bottling everything up and just, you know, hey, I got to be strong for everyone else. So what I would say is, for sure, take care of yourself, you know, and give yourself grace. Mistakes are going to happen. There might be a day where you forget to give those meds. Hey, give yourself grace, right? Call the doctors. Hey, Dr. Wasim, hey, you know, we messed up. Where do we go from here? Or, you know, just make sure that you're creating a loving environment you know, all around, because it tests everything. It tests your, you know, your interpersonal skills, honestly. It tests your relationships, whether that's romantically, you know, your friendships, business relationships. Like it's rough. So just know that you can make it out, but take care of yourself.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
That's it for this edition of Hope Stories. I'm your host, Mitch Kaloris. Please like, subscribe, click the notification bell so you can see other great stories like Kaia's. And remember, hope lives here.